capital development coming at the fore, because many at times a budget would represent that we have, of course, security, which is a non-negotiable. We would then have infrastructure coming in, taking the lion's share, and then we would follow up. But from the last year's budget and the previous year's budget as well, human capital development became a core conversation for us, the people of Uganda, knowing that Uganda is the second youngest nation in the world. Many a times I remember the median age for Uganda, which is about 16, and I ask myself how far we are, most of us here, how far we are from that median age. But it's okay, age is just a number. Don't you worry yourself. But that is how young the population is. And currently looking at more than 70%, 75%, more than that, is under the age of 30. That means it's a very young population. But a population, if we do enhance the demographic dividend, we can be able to get and achieve a lot more from the demography of that population. But also it's a ticking time bomb if we don't pay attention to the needs of the young generation, especially when we look at conversations around employment. Because I was looking at the report from the public service that was released in 2023, and it did clearly state that the public service can only take in about 320,000 people in terms of jobs, 320,000, and yet we have more than 400,000 graduates that are churned out of the different public and private universities in the country. So you clearly can see the mismatch when it comes to issues of employment. And it's a tough season for us right now, not tough in the sense of the negative, but a tough one for the 8 presidential candidates who are seeking the mandate in Uganda, talking about how they can be able to deal with this huge young population that is expecting quite a lot. But ours here is not to talk politics, is to talk about the things that do matter. Also comes in the conversation as a key pillar around climate resilience and, of course, climate change. We cannot underestimate the conversation around climate change. I am a farmer. I deal in agroforestry, and I am a certified coffee nursery farmer as well. But I've been joking around in the recent past and asking that, did someone have a quarrel with the rain in Uganda? Because this is supposed to be a rainy season, but we're not seeing the rain coming through. That speaks about the issue of climate change that we have had. And just recently, I think it was last month, together with the World Bank, Uganda launched its country climate development report. And it was very clear, we are vulnerable, and yet not a lot is being done when it comes to matters of climate change. Climate change is going to be very adverse in terms of dropping the GDP if we do not do something about it. When it comes to infrastructural development, which is a key aspect that takes a chunk of our budget, climate change is not a friend. Every time we get into the rainy season, I normally joke while doing my work as a journalist that I send shout outs to the Minister of Works and Transport because it's a tough season for him. But ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the Prime Minister. That is a sound that speaks to the fact that she is in our midst. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome the Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda, the Right Honorable Robina Nabanja, the Lady of Action. Thank you very much, Crane performers. Ladies and gentlemen, in our midst is our guest of honor, also the Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda, the Right Honorable Robina Nabanja. And without any further ado, I'm going to request the technical team that we take the anthems, the national anthem, the East African anthem, and the United Nations anthem before we can get seated to start us off. We'll take the UN anthem.
Glory
Let's humble ourselves for prayer. Dear Lord, we thank you for this time, and we thank you for keeping us alive. We believe that you are in our midst, because you say in your word, where 2 or 3 are gathered, there you shall be in their midst. We pray that every deliberation and discussion will not just end at the talking, but will be turned into action for the development of our motherland. We thank you. In your name we've prayed. We may get seated, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I want to say a warm welcome to you all. Thank you for honoring our invite. I would particularly like to say thank you to the Right Honorable Prime Minister, because I know what this season means. Today is the first day of the nomination of members of parliament, and she is definitely standing once again. She's been in Kakumiro, so being here at this particular point in time, sometimes I ask her, where is the magic, where does your magic come from? But we want to thank her for honoring this invitation. Amidst us, we also do have Honorable Raphael Majezi, who is the Minister of Local Government. Thank you so much for making time to be with us. We also have the Deputy Head of Public Service, Ms. Jen Mwesiga. Thank you so much for sparing time to be with us. In our midst, we have various ambassadors, and because of time, I'll just go through the countries that are represented. From Sweden, thank you so much for making time to be with us. Japan, Iceland, Ireland, South Sudan, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Denmark, also the European Union family is here with us, and we want to thank you so very much. The various UN heads of agencies who are coming through, not just to witness, but because they will be coordinating the activities of supporting Uganda in its development agenda. And amongst them, we do have Mr. Mohamed El Ghazali, in no particular order. That's the IFAD country director. We do also have Ms. Jacqueline Makoa, who is the UNAIDS country director. If you could just wave to us. We do have Ms. Nwane Vede Obahor, who is the UNDP and UNCDF resident representative. A pleasure having you, ma'am. Ms. Christine Blokus, UNFPA representative. Thank you so much. Dr. Robin Nandi Kumar, UNICEF rep, is here with us as well. Mr. Bruno To, UNIDO country rep. Ms. Sharon Lessa Nyambe from the UNODC head office. A pleasure having you here. Ms. Lauren Landis, World Food Program Country Director. Thank you so much for coming. I know that the RC will also be recognizing you later on. Dr. Kasonde Mwinga, who is a World Health Organization rep. Thank you so much for coming through. We also have different agencies that are represented. Right here with us, Paulino Jomo, the Director, Regional Service Center in Entebbe. Thank you so much for making time. Adukemi Ndiele, the Deputy Representative, UN Women. Thank you so much for coming through. Sarah Carl, Head of Program. Sarah Carl is here with us. Thank you so much. Solomon Cheyune, representing UNOPS. And Marcus Pryor, World Food Program Deputy Country Director. I mean, the agencies are quite many, and I'm not in position to read them all out, but we do thank you, the United Nations family, for coming through. As I get to invite our first speaker, this cooperation framework is not just a countdown of the 5 years to the Vision 2030, but it speaks quite big for us as a country, as Uganda, because currently as is, we are implementing our National Development Plan 4. And also in that, we are intertwining the 10-fold growth strategy for Uganda. Uganda is looking to having a $500 billion economy in the next 15 years, if we could say. Currently, the economy stands at about a 60, or more than slightly above $60 billion. And the country is saying, in the next 15 years, we can do this 10 times. That means we are going to have to double our GDP each and every 5 years or so to be able to achieve that goal. And key issues that we call ATMs, I'm not talking about the machine, but we're talking about agro-industrialization, which is key in this conversation and the Sustainable Development Goals, as well as minerals and science, technology, and industry. So as we get through, this is a very important one for us. And with that, allow me invite remarks from the United Nations Resident Coordinator, Mr. Leonard Zulu, to set the tone for us for this partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give the UNRC a big round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Yes. The Right Honorable Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda, Madam Robina Nabanja, welcome. Yes. And congratulations for your nominations in your constituency. Thank you. Honorable ministers present, members of parliament, senior government officials, your excellencies, ambassadors and deputy ambassadors, members of the diplomatic corps, distinguished representatives from civil society, private sector, faith-based organizations, youth and academia, heads of UN agencies, my colleagues present, members of the United Nations country team in Uganda, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the youth of Uganda present, we'll hear from them today. Today marks a defining moment for Uganda and the United Nations family. The signing and launch of the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework for 2026 to 2030, our new cooperation framework, our social agreement, our contract with the people of Uganda. This is a collective commitment to the future we choose to build together, a future of inclusion, resilience, and shared prosperity for all people in Uganda. This framework is the single most important document guiding all United Nations development work in Uganda. It sets the vision and direction of our joint efforts over the next 5 years. Indeed, these will be the last 5 years to 2030 within the framework of Agenda 2030. It builds on Uganda's steady progress from achieving medium human development status to meeting 2 of the 3 criteria for graduation from the least developed countries category. Indeed, I'm sure by 2027, Uganda will meet all 3 criteria. It also aligns squarely with Vision 2040, the 4th National Development Plan, Agenda 2063, and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and indeed the Pact for the Future. Beyond the signing and launch of the document today, here, when we are gathered here, all of us today, it symbolizes partnership in its truest form. The cooperation framework was co-led and co-created with government, development partners, civil society, the private sector, young people, and persons with disability. Every step from the country analysis, evaluation, vision, and prioritization, and the results formulation exercises to the drafting and review, we did it together. The process was open, evidence-based, and forward-looking, ensuring that our collective vision speaks to Uganda's realities and ambitions. The cooperation framework focuses on 3 strategic priorities. Strategic priority number 1 is on transformative and inclusive human development. Strategic priority number 2 is on sustainable ecosystems and climate-smart growth. And strategic priority number 3 is on integrated, inclusive, and rights-based governance. Across these strategic priorities, we will work differently, focusing on catalytic changes that can unlock Uganda's potential in line with Uganda's ATMs, which is agro-industrialization, tourism, mining and mineral resources, and science, technology, and innovation. Our focus will be on Uganda's transformation through the 6 transitions for the acceleration of the Sustainable Development Goals, namely food systems, energy, digital connectivity, transformative education, jobs and social protection, and climate and environmental action. This cooperation framework is not only a call to work, but to act differently, to act together. We must act as one across government, UN agencies, and all development actors to ensure our collective efforts produce real impact on the ground and in the communities. We must finance development differently, bringing together public, private, and innovative financing to unlock Uganda's growth pathways. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we mark the signing and launch of the cooperation framework, we also want to take a moment to celebrate the United Nations Day in 2024. On Friday, the 24th of October, 2025, I beg your pardon, the United Nations Day on 2025, which will be celebrated on the 24th of October 2025, when the United Nations will mark its 80th birthday, the 80th year since its founding in October 1945. As our organization turns 80, we are not only marking history, but renewing our commitment to the United Nations Charter. UN at 80 is a moment of reflection and hope to modernize how we work, deepen trust, and deliver greater impact. Globally, the United Nations is advancing the Pact for the Future to strengthen peace and development, climate action, and digital cooperation. Here in Uganda, the United Nations at 80 initiative is already taking shape, from using data and foresight to guide a national planning, including the cooperation framework, to embracing innovation, partnerships, and the change that we want to see, using data, digital, foresight, innovation, and behavioral science. These efforts have helped us anticipate challenges, respond faster, and work closely with all partners. In relation to United Nations moving to a more cost-effective duty stations, we have identified opportunities for Uganda, such as the hosting of additional United Nations functions at the Regional Service Center here in Entebbe. This is a reminder that the UN at 80 reforms are not abstract. They are happening here in Uganda, as well as they are happening in other places in the world. Uganda, as a strong partner of the United Nations, is helping to shape its future. Combining UN Day 2025 and the cooperation framework launch is therefore more than a delivery milestone. It is a joint celebration of the spirit that gave birth to the United Nations, the belief that nations working together can achieve peace, prosperity, and dignity for all. As we look ahead, the United Nations, together with its partners, stand ready to accompany the people and government of Uganda in this transformative journey. We recommit to walking this journey with the government and the people of Uganda. Our story will be one of resilience, ambition, and Ubuntu, meaning I am because we are. Together, we can make that spirit real in every community and every life we touch. On behalf of the United Nations country team, I express deep gratitude to the government of Uganda, particularly the Office of the Prime Minister, for leading this process with commitment, vision, and leadership. We thank and appreciate the continued engagement of development partners, civil society, private sector, youth, women, persons with disabilities, and academic institutions, whose insights and support helped shape this framework. I salute the leadership and dedication of the United Nations country team and the many colleagues who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes, including to put together today's event. Together, we have charted a course toward a more inclusive, sustainable, and prosperous Uganda. I will end by formally welcoming and thanking you all for being part of this important journey and being present at today's occasion. With that, I submit to you all and to God and our beloved Uganda. I think they were about to say for God and my country, but maybe not today. But thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, RC. And thank you for those kind words. And I am kindly letting you know that we are going to have a little bit of a change in our program because, like I said, it is a very busy season and the Prime Minister has just a few minutes for us on our hand. And for that, allow me switch up the program a little bit and invite our next speaker who will be talking about the partner commitment, multilateralism, and financing. Just like the 17th Sustainable Development Goal talks about partnerships for being able to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me invite a statement from the development partners from Ms. Maria Hackinson, the Ambassador of Sweden. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, honorable ministers, members of Parliament, senior government officials, United Nations Resident Coordinator, heads of UN agencies, ambassadors, members of the diplomatic corps, distinguished guests, colleagues, partners. On behalf of the Local Development Partners Group, I'm honored to join you today to mark the launch of the new United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework for Uganda. This framework represents a significant recommitment to Uganda's national vision and global ambitions, a joint roadmap to translate Vision 2040, the fourth National Development Plan, and the 2030 Agenda into tangible results for people, prosperity, and the planet. As the last cooperation framework before 2030, it will also play a pivotal role in accelerating the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. The Local Development Partners Group warmly welcomes the ambition and focus of this framework and commends the government of Uganda and the United Nations country team for the participatory process that shaped its formulation. By integrating the 6 Sustainable Development Goal transitions on food systems, energy, education, jobs, social protection, digital transformation, and climate action, it responds directly to the country's most pressing needs, while seizing opportunities for transformation in the years ahead. The framework aligns with Uganda's fourth National Development Plan and its commitment to inclusive, sustainable, and resilient development. The 3 strategic pillars, transformative and inclusive human development, sustainable ecosystems and climate-smart development, and integrated, inclusive, and rights-based governance speaks directly to the challenges and opportunities we all see on the ground. We particularly commend the framework's strong grounding in national ownership and its focus on working as one system, under one national plan. This approach reflects a mature partnership built on mutual trust and joint programming for stronger transparency and accountability. As development partners, we are encouraged by the clear focus on the principle of leaving no one behind, reaching those most at risk of exclusion, in particular women, children, youth, persons with disability, refugees, and people living in climate-vulnerable regions. Ugandan policies, such as the progressive open-door refugee policy, offer a strong foundation for turning these commitments into measurable results. We also note the framework's alignment with the Pact for the Future, calling for innovation, sustainability, and financing reforms that can deliver development differently. This resonates deeply with our own priorities, supporting Uganda to better mobilize domestic resources, leverage private investment, and ensure that financing is both predictable and sustainable and reaches the furthest behind. We recognize that challenges remain: rising debt pressures, climate shocks, gender disparities, and regional inequalities remind us that the path towards achieving the SDGs is still long. At the same time, today's global and national realities, including major structural changes to the funding landscape, make it more urgent than ever to join forces under one single, results-oriented agenda that harnesses domestic skills and resources. It is time to catalyze new investments and strengthen meaningful collaboration across government, UN system, civil society, and development partners to ensure that growth is inclusive, governance is accountable, and progress reaches every household and every community. For us, partnerships have never been about projects. It's always about purpose, about how we align our support behind Uganda's own priorities. The NDP4 and this framework help us to do that even better. Their intent to strengthen coherence across our collective efforts, connect humanitarian, development, and peace-building work, and bring focus to where our joint actions can have the greatest impact, and that is commendable. Now, more than ever, the world needs a United Nations that is coherent, efficient, and closer to the people it serves. We just heard that the United Nations turns 80. It was celebrated by world leaders not long ago, and on this Friday, it's when the actual anniversary will take place. And as the UN turns 80, member states have embraced the UN at 80 reforms that are intended to strengthen country leadership, reduce costs, improve coordination, harness data and foresight, and unlock smarter financing for development. These changes restore confidence in multilateral system, our best tool to tackle poverty, inequality, climate pressures, and translate global commitments into tangible national results. In an era of geopolitical tensions, interlinked global challenges, Africa and Europe together form an important pillar of effective multilateralism with the UN at its core. So on behalf of Team Europe and on behalf of the Local Development Partners Group, I reaffirm our collective commitment to this partnership. We will continue to align our support with national priorities. We will work to strengthen coordination platforms and we will promote coherence between humanitarian and development efforts. We stand with Uganda and the United Nations in this next chapter to work together, innovate together, and deliver together for the people of Uganda. I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and for the recommitment, for the support that is very much needed, realizing the different global dynamics that are happening. And also, you did mention a key one on domestic resource mobilization, which is very, very important. So here, as we say, Uganda is a private sector-led economy. We'll call upon the support of the private sector. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are definitely here, yes, to celebrate the 80 years of the United Nations, and that is why we have, for the sweet tooth lovers, we have that beautiful piece there. But we're here for the signing of the cooperation framework. What is it about? How is it going to be able to support Uganda's development goals? Like I said, we're heading into NDP4, the National Development Plan 4, and to be able to give us an explicit view of what this cooperation is about and what the key elements therein are, allow me call back the resident coordinator himself, Mr. Leonard Zulu, to just kindly paint a picture for us. Let's have him back once again.
Okay, now my duty now is to take you through the cooperation framework, the highlights. And I will start with an overview of the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework 2026-2030. I won't be able to see, but I hope I can move you there. So the framework is a promise for a brighter future. It takes into account of the fact that Uganda is among the fastest growing countries on the continent. Uganda is growing at 7%. This is the latest figure that we have. However, challenges remain. And these include inequality, human capital development gaps, high informality, fiscal pressure, and vulnerability due to climate shocks. However, there's also the good story that Uganda has met the criteria to graduate from least developed country category to lower middle income country category. And it's in the same cohort as Tanzania and Rwanda. So this is an important benchmark. The cooperation framework, as I mentioned earlier, is a single roadmap for Uganda's development and how the United Nations will support this development. It is anchored in Vision 2040 and National Development Plan 4, Agenda 2063, and the Pact for the Future. This is the United Nations systems approach to supporting transformative development and coherence. So how do we intend to bring about this transformative change in Uganda? We intend to focus on catalytic, high-impact transformation areas: food, education, energy, jobs, governance systems. We aim to tackle demographic, economic, and structural challenges. We aim to work within the areas of human capital to strengthen ecosystems and to advance good governance together. We will lead a process that will be inclusive and resilient to make sure that Uganda develops into a middle-income country. We have selected, of course, the 6 transitions, the 6 outcomes that will define transformational change. We have them in the 3 strategic priorities. The first strategic priority is transformative and inclusive human development, where we intend to invest in human capital prosperity. We aim to expand quality health, education, and social services, and we will strive to work towards strengthening financing, systems, and the use of data. We will target underserved regions, women, youth, persons with disabilities, and work with the people of Uganda to make sure that they gain skills that align strongly with the needs of the labor market. We will also work towards supporting quality standards in learning programs. And we also will have an outcome on social and protection services, which aims to improve quality, equitable, and gender-responsive services, strengthen delivery at all governance levels, build resilience in national service systems, empower communities to demand better services, and prioritize vulnerable and underserved populations, thereby advancing inclusive, sustainable social protection frameworks. We also have an outcome on decent employment and livelihoods, focusing on agribusiness and food systems, where the aim is to boost productivity and value addition, strengthen labor market-driven skill development, promote decent work for youth and women, expand business and entrepreneurship opportunities, and foster private-public partnerships for inclusion to raise income through resilient livelihoods. We will work as well on an outcome on gender equality and disability inclusion to integrate gender and disability governance, to expand economic access for vulnerable groups, strengthen systems to prevent rights violations, and address gender-based violence and harmful social practices. Ensure justice, accountability, and equal opportunity nationwide. Empower women, youth, and persons with disabilities. Moving on to second strategic priority, sustainable ecosystems and climate-smart development. Here, we will support the management of land, forests, water in a sustainable and equitable manner. We will support the strengthening of regulatory and land use frameworks and laws. We'll promote clean energy and circular economy, and scale climate-smart agriculture and green jobs, and invest in adaptation and ecosystem restoration, thereby supporting fragile, high-risk, climate-vulnerable areas. The outcomes under this strategic priority are the following. The first outcome is on natural resource management, where the aim will be to build resilient natural resources management systems, protect and restore terrestrial, aquatic ecosystems, increase use of climate-smart technologies, and advance equitable, inclusive waste management systems. Promote sustainable urbanization and extractive governance. Strengthen adaptation and disaster risk capabilities. Then we will have the third strategic priority, which is inclusive of rights-based governance, where the aim will be to strengthen transparent and accountable public institutions, enhance justice and human rights mechanisms, promote inclusive participatory planning nationwide, and ensure fairness in service delivery systems, build trust through integrity and accountability, and embed governance across the National Development Plan 4 priorities. There's an outcome on transformative governance and human rights protection, where we intend to develop gender-responsive, rights-based legal frameworks. We intend to expand civic participation at all levels, strengthen peace, justice, and security access, empower citizens to hold leaders accountable, and integrate equality across national development plans, and promote inclusion, peace, and institutional trust. The outcome on global and regional partnerships will strengthen data and planning institutions' capacity, mobilize in innovative financing and public debt management, expand South-South and regional cooperation within the framework of the East Africa Community and COMESA, for example, to ensure that there are strong regional cooperation linkages and good South-South cooperation and triangulation. We will engage non-state actors in policy and trade policy formulation, leverage technology, digitalization, and volunteerism, and accelerate SDG progress through joint partnerships. Then we will, of course, focus on partnership and sustainability, prioritizing partnership and financing our funding projects and interventions, rooting everything in national ownership and leadership, co-creation with government and key actors, where we will use national systems for program delivery and empower local institutions to drive implementation, align UN support with Uganda's development agenda. Then we have a very strong monitoring, evaluation, and learning framework, where we'll be guided by robust results and indicators. UN entities assigned will ensure that clear data is provided, ensuring responsibility and accountability. We will track gender, age, disability, disaggregated indicators, apply the principle of leave no one behind, gender analysis, and system-wide reviews throughout our implementation of the cooperation framework. We will also strengthen national oversight through joint monitoring mechanisms together with the Office of the Prime Minister and other government institutions. We will conduct joint annual results reviews and terminal evaluations. The Joint Steering Committee, it will be a very important forum to do this work. For government systems and implementation and accountability, our focus will be to work in the Joint Steering Committee, which is co-chaired by the Prime Minister and the Office of the Prime Minister, United Nations Resident Coordinator's Office, and the Resident Coordinator, myself. The UNCT will lead on policy coordination, program management and implementation, and the country team will ensure coherence and responsiveness. 6 outcomes groups, co-led by the government and the United Nations, will be in place, and results groups will plan, deliver, and monitor progress, supported by operational management teams and the communication groups. So this is how we intend to implement the the cooperation framework in Uganda. Now, to finalize, I wish to congratulate my colleagues in the United Nations country team for having prepared the cooperation framework. I also express deep gratitude to government of Uganda, appreciation to the Prime Minister for her strong leadership, and also appreciation to the Office of the Prime Minister. I also wish to thank the National Planning Authority for its leadership, and I also recognize the ministries, departments, local governments, and agencies that will have the responsibility of implementing the National Development Plan 4, and relatedly, also this cooperation framework. I salute the development partners, especially the local development partner group and civil society, for their steadfast support in supporting many of the programs that will be implemented within the framework of the cooperation framework of Uganda. I appreciate, of course, the people of Uganda, the youth, the women, persons with disability, and private sector voices that have made the cooperation framework extremely strong and results-oriented. I commend the United Nations country team, deputies and co-chairs of results groups, and thank all technical working groups, especially the results-based management and the Human Rights and Gender Advisory Group, and recognize all the facilitators, the note takers, the rapporteurs, and the pen holders. And of course, I commend my own team and the Office of the Prime Minister's team led by Commissioner Edwards and the PS for having worked with us in co-creation and co-leadership. I thank everyone for working with the United Nations to advance Uganda's transformation journey. I thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, RC. Now we clearly understand what the cooperation agreement is about with those three key pillars around human development, climate and sustainable ecosystems, and the rights-based governance. Now, to the government of Uganda, I would like to invite from the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, I'd like to invite Mr. Kasangaki Stephen, who is the Commissioner, Cash Policy Department, because we need to understand how we will nationally be aligned as a country, issues of execution and financing. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause to the Commissioner as he tells us about Uganda's alignment, execution, and financing strategy.
The Right Honorable Prime Minister, all Honorable Ministers present, Your Excellencies, the ambassadors and members of the diplomatic corps, the UN Residency Coordinator, heads of UN agencies, all development partners around, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies from Honorable Matia Kasaija, the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and all his state ministers. They are right now due for nominations in their respective constituencies. I'm Stephen Kasangaki, Commissioner, Cash Policy Department, and I chair the SDG, Resource and Financing Technical Working Group. I'm therefore here to present the Minister's statement. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor and privilege for me to join you today for the launch of the UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework for 2026-2030 and to celebrate the 8 years of UN contribution to peace, development, and human progress around the world. On behalf of government of Uganda and on my own behalf, I extend our sincere appreciation to the UN family for being a steadfast partner in our country's development journey. As we commemorate UN at 80, we are reminded of the organization's enduring commitment to peace, human rights, and sustainable development. Over the decades, UN has been a pillar of support to all nations in terms of crisis and transition. For Uganda in particular, UN has worked with us through every stage of our development, right from human rights, from humanitarian response and recovery to advancing SDG goals, strengthening governance systems, improving social services, and empowering our communities. Ladies and gentlemen, the launch of this framework for the next 5 years marks another milestone in our shared agenda for sustainable development, as it will provide a renewed blueprint for collaboration between government of Uganda and UN systems anchored on our national priorities and strategies as set out in the 4th National Development Plan, African Agenda 2063, and the 2030 SDG targets. In this regard, Uganda has developed a strategy to expand the size of our economy tenfold from the current $62 billion to 500 by 2040. That is by 15 years from now. And to achieve that, we have the anchors that are embedded in 4 key sectors. That is what we could now call ATMs. The agro-industrialization, tourism development, mineral development, including oil and gas, science, technology, innovation, and creative industry, plus the other supporting sectors. As UN family, your focus resonates well with our ambition set up above. These include inclusive economic transformation and job creation, human capital development, climate resilience and environment sustainability, and good governance and social cohesion. This alignment reflects our collective commitment to leaving no one behind as we pursue the Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development. Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development recognizes the UN as a trusted partner in mobilizing resources, technical assistance, and evidence-based policy advice. We therefore look forward to strengthening this partnership through result-oriented programming, mutual accountability, and innovative financing for development, including but not limited to public-private partnerships and leveraging digital technologies. As we enter this cooperation phase, let us ensure that every dollar, every policy, and every initiative translates into tangible improvements in the lives of our people, especially women, youth, persons with disabilities, and all vulnerable communities in general. In conclusion, as we celebrate 80 years of UN, we reaffirm our shared vision for a peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable world. Uganda remains committed to working hand in hand with the UN and all partners to achieve sustainable development goals and to deliver on our national aspirations for inclusive growth and transformation. Let this cooperation framework be a symbol of renewed hope, collective responsibility, and an unwavering partnership for the Uganda we want and the world we all desire. We look forward to continuously collaborating well with you for the next 5 years set out in the framework. I thank you all for God and my country.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Kasangaki. I think I can only wrap up your remarks in one word, saying that we shall leave no one behind, or one statement, that for every investment made, everyone should be included. And as we implement this, Uganda is not an island. Therefore, cooperation is very key. I would also like to recognize the presence of the High Commissioner for Rwanda and Deputy Dean of the Embassy, who is also with us here. It is a pleasure having you come through. And we are also displaying this live, so we are not just us who are here seated physically, but we are also online. And without any further ado, allow me invite the Minister of Local Government, because when we talk about leaving no one behind, it means the person we call Omuntu wa wansi has to be impacted in this cooperation agenda, not just the English which is spoken here at the top. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me invite Honorable Raphael Majezi, who will also do us the honors of inviting the Prime Minister.
Thank you so much. Master of Ceremonies, Mildred, the Right Honorable Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda, Right Honorable Robin Anabanja, representing His Excellency the President, the United Nations Resident Coordinator, Excellency Leonard Zulu, the Honorable Ministers here present. Allow me to recognize and present to you the Honorable Wilson Muruli Mukasa, Minister of Public Service. And the Honorable General Wilson Mbasu Mbadi, our Minister of State in charge of trade. Thanks for being here. Your Excellencies, ambassadors, and members of the diplomatic corps, the representatives of our development partners, the Deputy Head of Public Service, Madame Jane Mwesiga, she's here with us. Our permanent secretaries, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Raphael Majezi, Minister of Local Government. I'm here to present to you the statement of the Right Honorable Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda, because she's here to represent His Excellency the President. It's a unique honor for me and privilege to stand in for my supervisor in her presence. And since she's around, I represent her statement verbatim, otherwise she will say, where do you get the privilege to change my statement? But before I present her statement, allow me to congratulate her on her nomination this morning. So we now have a duly nominated member to become Member of Parliament to represent the people of Kakumiro district as the district woman MP. She has been, and she is at the moment, the Kakumiro district woman MP And we in local government, we take pride in her because she has served at the district council in Kakumiro. You can imagine rising from that level to member of parliament, to Minister of State, General Duties, Ministry of Health, and now to the Prime Minister of Uganda, leader of government business in parliament, and the coordinator of all of us. And today's occasion is special because she's representing His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda. Mama, you are most welcome in our midst. So I here present her statement in which she starts by expressing her delight to welcome the chief guest, His Excellency the President, and all distinguished guests to this important occasion, which is the official launch of the Government of Uganda and the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework for 2026-2030. Just a week ago, we successfully concluded the Joint Steering Committee meeting, where we reaffirmed our shared commitment to a renewed partnership that is results-oriented, inclusive, and transformative. We agreed that the next phase of cooperation will build on our shared achievements under the outgoing framework, while taking bold steps to respond to emerging national and global challenges. Our chief guest, I wish therefore to associate myself fully with the remarks of the UN Resident Coordinator, Mr. Leonard Zulu. Your Excellency, thanks for those remarks on the strategic outlook of this new cooperation framework. Indeed, this framework is well aligned to our National Development Plan 4, the NDP4, our country's Vision 2040, both of which place people, prosperity, and planet at the center of sustainable transformation of Uganda. The cooperation framework also resonates strongly with regional and international frameworks, such as the African Union Agenda 2063 and the Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development. Our chief guest, this coherence underscores the vision of His Excellency the President of Uganda to move all Ugandans out of poverty and to build a society that is resilient, equitable, and prosperous. The cooperation framework could not have come at a better time. It coincides with two remarkable milestones. One is the celebration of the 80th anniversary of the United Nations. And the second is the 63rd anniversary of the UN's presence here in Uganda. We celebrate these key milestones, and we congratulate the UN family on this achievement. Over these decades, the UN has stood with Uganda as a trusted partner and a partner of choice, supporting us through humanitarian response, governance reforms, social protection, and sustainable development initiatives. The government of Uganda deeply values this enduring collaboration, which is based on mutual respect and shared purpose. Our chief guest, under your guidance, under the guidance of His Excellency the President and leadership, we are to reaffirm our commitment to continuing to support the implementation of this cooperation framework. We will work hand in hand with the UN country team and all stakeholders to achieve our collective goals. And these are, we'll work hand in hand with you, the UN family, to move every Ugandan out of poverty. And we shall do that. We'll work hand in hand with you to build resilient communities and to create wealth and opportunities for all Ugandans. With these words, it is my honor and privilege to introduce to you the Right Honorable Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda, Right Honorable Robin Anabanja, and to invite her to deliver the keynote address of His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda, and to request her to officially launch the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework 2026-2030 for God and my country.
Thank you so much, Honorable Magezi. Good morning, everybody. Is it still morning? Good morning, everyone. The Honorable Ministers, Your Excellencies, the Ambassadors, my brother, the UN country representative, and our diplomatic corps, fellow Ugandans, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to bring you warm greetings and best wishes from His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda. He was unable to come to join us, as you are aware that he is in northern Uganda on his campaign program to retain the seat of the President. Ladies and gentlemen, before I read his speech, allow me to give you a few remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, Uganda is a democratic country. As you're already aware, even after 5 years, Ugandans exercise their democratic right to elect leaders of their own choice. I am a product of Uganda's democratic process. I know Honorable Mageza has already told you. Today morning at exactly 9, I presented myself before the Kakumiro District Returning Officer to get nominated so as to compete for the position of Woman Member of Parliament, Kakumiro District. It is on this note that I want to bring you warm greetings from Kakumiro. Those people love you so much. I did not even have time to celebrate my nomination. As you can see, this is how I was. I just had to come to perform this noble duty. And so please join me to thank His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda for the peace and security, especially during this electoral process. So far, so good. And also to thank our security personnel. I believe everybody can appreciate. They are doing a good job in keeping law and order amidst a lot of provocation from our brothers, as you know. Let me now go to the speech of the President. Your Excellencies, fellow Ugandans, friends and partners, for many years, we have discussed transforming Uganda from a peasant economy to a modern and prosperous nation. It is a duty for all of us. Uganda has the vision, the plan, and the capacity to achieve this transformation. Vision 2040 and the fourth National Development Plan provide the roadmap. Our task is to create jobs, raise household incomes, build industries, protect the environment, and secure peace and stability. I am happy to note that the United Nations Cooperation Framework, that is 2026-2030, is a key instrument for accelerating this journey. It is fully aligned with the National Development Plan 4, Africa's Agenda 2063, the Sustainable Development Goals, to mention but a few. It focuses on 6 critical transformation levels: food systems, education, jobs and social protection, energy, climate resilience, and governance. These are engines of the tenfold growth strategy, as you all know. Through this framework, we are joining national plans with international support to push Uganda forward. A central pillar of our strategy is the parish development model. This is not theory. It is practical economics that we have promoted for many decades, as we have been working tirelessly to move our people from the subsistence economy to the money economy. In PDM, we are moving resources and season making to the people. Each parish is a unit of wealth creation. Through this model, government of Uganda and partners are bringing services, credit, and markets directly to households that have maintained or remained in subsistence. By 2030, millions of Ugandans will achieve this required goal. They will enter into the money economy. When households join the money economy, prosperity becomes visible in homes, schools, clinics, and communities. The framework brings together all actors under one national vision: government, citizens, the private sector, civil society, academia, and development partners are moving in one direction. In my village, when people dig a trench together, the work is completed quickly, and the results are clear. Development follows the same principle. When everyone works in unison, duplication is avoided, resources are saved, and results come faster. Uganda acknowledges the contribution of the United Nations system to this journey. Over the last 5 years, 29 UN entities have worked with our ministries, departments, and agencies. Together, we have achieved significant progress. Uganda has risen to medium human development status. We have met 2 of the 3 criteria for graduation from the least developed country status. Maternal and child mortality have reduced. Social protection expanded. Food and energy systems have strengthened. Gender equality has advanced. Uganda's refugee policy has become a global model. Our role now is our role now in promoting regional peace and stability is equally recognized internationally. These results of joint effort guided by national priorities are well realized. The years ahead present major opportunities. Uganda, as you are aware, hosted the non-aligned movement and the G77 summits, the Africa Regional Forum on Sustainable Development. We shall be hosting the African Cup of Nations, AFCON 2027. These events will place Uganda at the center of continental and global attention. They will attract investments, expand trade, boost tourism, and showcase Uganda's potential. At the global level, debates on financing, dates, climate, and the Pact for the Future are creating opportunities for countries like Uganda to shape decisions and benefit from these reforms. The cooperation, therefore, provides the structured platform to turn these opportunities into gains for our people. The goal is very clear. Uganda is marching towards high middle income status by 2040. The tenfold growth strategy is the engine. The Paris development model is the foundation at the grassroots. The cooperation framework is the accelerator that brings international partnerships into our national plan. We are organizing our people, building industries and infrastructure, and protecting our environment. Every actor must align with this national direction. The time for slow methods is over. We need discipline. We need agency. We need urgency. We need innovation. In the office of the Prime Minister is providing national coordination. The United Nations is mobilizing its global and local capacities. Government, citizens, and the private sector and partners must act together with one plan and one purpose. Uganda is not a poor country. The wealth is in our people, our land, and our opportunities. With correct organization and methods, Uganda will achieve inclusive growth, build resilience, and secure the future. We must do much with less resources. I thank the United Nations country team and all our partners for their support and alignment with our vision. I urge all sectors, leaders, and communities to remain focused and disciplined. The direction is very clear. The task is clear. The future is bright. I thank you. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. The President of the Republic of Uganda. Now, I think we are going to our last item on the agenda, isn't it? We are launching. I think I need to be guided here on how we are going to do it. So brothers and sisters, allow me to hand over the speech of the President to our resident coordinator for all other partners to benefit from it.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda, Honorable Robin Anabanja.
You know the president writes on a blue letter, a blue paper.
Evidence. The speech of the President has been officially handed over to the Resident Coordinator of the United Nations in Uganda, and the commitment that Uganda is having in ensuring that there will be fulfillment of the Sustainable Development Goals. And RC, just before you leave, you will stand side by side with the Prime Minister to officially, first of all, unveil this cooperation framework, the Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework. So, officially, the Republic of Uganda.
On behalf of the President of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, it is my honor to officially unveil.
There we have it.
We have unveiled Uganda UN Sustainable Development Cooperation for the period between 2026-2030 for God and my country.
And now we will have officially the Prime Minister, on behalf of the President, append her signature to that cooperation framework 2026 to 2030, and we'll also have the Resident Coordinator of the United Nations do the same. Thank you very much. And of course, we will go, Right Honorable Prime Minister, to that table. We'll officially be having the signatures appended to the official legal documents that bring to the fold the 2026 to 2030 Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework. And in that, as the Resident Coordinator did clearly tell us, quite a number of key issues that did come through, key pillars on human development, on climate sustainable ecosystems, as well as rights governance. So as the signing ceremony continues, of course, Crane Performers gives us a slight music right there as the official signing of the Uganda United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework launch. We have the signatures appended. What will be happening after now will be execution, ensuring that resource mobilization is done, national alignment of Uganda's development goals and agenda to the Sustainable Development Goals. And already we've definitely performed quite well. And after that, I am going to request Crane Performers to clear the cake side, because we said it is not just this ceremony of the cooperation framework, but we are also celebrating 80 years of the existence of the United Nations. Ladies and gentlemen, officially signed, stamped, and sealed, we can say. And now, we'll take that momentous photo. Of course, we'll have another photo right outside. Thank you so very much, Right Honorable, for sparing time to be with us during this busy schedule. And now she will move. And of course, I'll request the high table, Honorable Murole Mukasa. I will request the ministers who are seated with the Prime Minister, and also the Swedish ambassador to join. And at this moment, we will have the cake sign We'll have the cake cutting ceremony as we celebrate 80 years of the existence of the United Nations. And as it had clearly been said for Uganda's case, it's 65 good years of commitment, of collaboration, of ensuring that we achieve together. So we'll count from 3, 2, 1, and we say congratulations to the United Nations on 80 years of building our future together. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Prime Minister. And I know that the Prime Minister is going to be leaving in the next few seconds. For those who are listening to the music, the song said, "The Lord has done it." That is the meaning of Akikozere Mukama. And because the Prime Minister is going to be leaving, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to request that we stand and take the anthems. And immediately after she departs, of course, we will also have a picture right outside as she leaves with a receiving party. We will then continue with the other part of the program before we officially break off for lunch. And so to our technical team, we'll do the anthems in reverse order from the UN anthem to the East African anthem and the Ugandan anthem. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. The Prime Minister will now depart. Thank you so much, Honorable Prime Minister. I am going to request that there will be a picture moment outside as well. Thank you very much. Mr. Leonard, there is a picture outside. Issa. After that picture moment, I am going to request, ladies and gentlemen, after the picture moment and after the Prime Minister departs, I am going to request that we all return to the sitting area. We have just about 15 minutes to be able to officially wind up our momentous event. We will have the signing from the heads of agencies of the United Nations that are present here. We will also have a speech from the Youth Coalition for Sustainable Development Goals and the Uganda National NGO Forum. And then thereafter, we'll together join in lunch, because there is no way we can have such a very important occasion and not be able to have lunch together. So immediately after we all return, immediately after. And the very first one will be the heads of agencies. All right, thank you very much to the crane performers. I will request us all who are still outside to please come back. We're definitely going to continue having the picture moments. Please come back. We know that we had to change our program very, very much to be able to consider the time that the Prime Minister had with us. So ladies and gentlemen, I will request that we all come back. I will request Issa to bring us back the resident coordinator, that we can be able to get the pictures a little later on, because we do still have all the banners up. I am requesting that every one of us who is still outside to please come back inside. Let's all come back. I know that our program had to be flipped upside down, but it's very important to have on record the conversation, the commitments, the speeches, especially from the young people, because like I said earlier, those do contribute to the greatest percentage of Uganda's population, and we cannot do anything without them. Their involvement is very, very important and very key in this conversation of attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals. So I am going to request whoever is holding at ransom the RC should let him be, and we will have him back. So Mr. Leonard, if you can hear me, we are waiting to have you back here. So the next part of the program is a very simple one, because we need to get the commitment. We need to get the commitment of all the UN agencies that are present, And without any further ado, I am going to invite, in no particular order, because on this here, we do have your signatures to be appended clearly. So as the RC watches on, definitely, because he does head all the UN agencies here, I am going to invite Mr. Mohamed El Ghazali, the IFAD Country Director. And like I said, in no particular order, I am going to invite him to append his signature and commitment to ensuring that this cooperation framework will come to pass. Of course, your names are definitely on there. Thank you very much. That's a commitment from IFAD. We will later on have you come back. Ms. Jacqueline Makoha, the UNAIDS Country Director. Jacqueline, we kindly request, yes, to have that commitment coming through for the cooperation framework. Very key in the health sector. And after Ms. Jacqueline, I am going to invite Ms. Nwane, the UNDP and UNCDF resident representative, to as well come through and append. Okay, immediately after signing, of course, we need that important one. Let's welcome Nwane, ladies and gentlemen, the UNDP, UNCDF resident rep, to as well append her signature to, as a sign of commitment to this cooperation agreement between Uganda and the United Nations. Thank you so much. I will also invite Ms. Christine, the UNFPA representative. Christine, welcome. Okay, that's good. Okay, UNFPA, Ms. Christine is here to append her signature as well. Okay. Okay, we found the name. And after, we'll take that picture. As Dr. Robin Nandi Kumar, UNICEF representative, comes through as well. Dr. Robin, welcome. When we're talking about human capital development, the health sector is as well a very important one to pay attention to. Thank you. As that picture is taken, Mr. Bruno Otto, UNIDO country rep, wherever you are, please. It's a commitment to the cooperation framework and its actualization in the country. Ms. Sharon Lesa Nyambe, the UNODC Head of Office. After that picture, we'll be having you. The justice system is another very important one to pay attention to if we are to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals and ensuring that justice systems work for everyone. The key is leaving no one behind. Thank you very much. And of course, we'll take that picture as I welcome Dr. Kasonde Mwinga, the World Health Organization representative. Welcome, doctor. Let's give her some cheers. We have lunch, don't worry. I know the energies are going low, the caffeine is, getting out of the bloodstream, but we'll be having lunch together as well. And of course, we'll have more and more. I'm going to invite all the heads of agencies who have just appended their signatures to please come back so we can have a group photo right here. I don't know, the technical team, is it better down or right up? Okay, all right, I'm kindly inviting all the heads of agencies who have just appended your signatures here to please come back for this group picture. So IFAD, UNAIDS, UNDP, UNFPA, UNICEF, UNIDO, UNODC, and World Health Organization, please. I request that we come back. And of course, we'll make sure that the heads of the other agencies that are not represented, that are not here, because I know they are represented, but we need their personal signatures on this one. So maybe I'll ask the team to come, have it in the middle, so we can all be in one picture. And after that, we're just going to have two key people to be able to speak to us. And that is the young people and the NGO forum, leaving no one behind before we get to join for lunch. We do definitely apologize that we couldn't have these speeches earlier, but it's because of time and the protocol team of the Prime Minister that we had to be flipping that one upside down. And so without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, allow me invite a representative of a key demography of the country. I told you our median age as Uganda is 16, and more than 75% of the population is below the age of 30. That's a very young population that Uganda has. And from the Youth Coalition for Sustainable Development Goals, allow me invite Ms. Amina Nasali, who is the president, to give us her remarks. And the reason why we're choosing to have these remarks, even after the Prime Minister is gone, is because we need to have this captured and ensure that we can always be able to refer to it. Let's give a round of applause to Ms. Amina as she comes.
Thank you, well read. I don't know if it is right for me to speak after the president has spoken, but since I also carry the title Her Excellency, I believe I'm at the right platform. Well, all protocol observed. My name is Amina Nassali. I serve as the president for the Uganda Youth Coalition for Sustainable Development, an entity that brings together youth-led entities that are working towards the attainment of sustainable development goals in Uganda. We operate under the Office of the Prime Minister. We support the very generous support of the United Nations Resident Coordinator's Office. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, having listened to the presentation of the United Nations Cooperation Framework 2026-2030, I'm deeply inspired and even more assured that this framework captures many of the priorities and hopes young Ugandans have long championed. Today's launch is not just another milestone. It marks the final push in Uganda's journey towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals through the Vision 2040 and NDP4, and coincides with the commemoration of the 80th anniversary of the United Nations. It is a moment for both reflection and renewed resolve. I stand before you not only as the president of the Uganda Youth Coalition for Sustainable Development, but as one of the millions of young people and young Ugandans whose futures are shaped by the decisions we make in spaces and rooms like this. Reflecting on our journey, since the implementation of the 2021-2025 Cooperation Framework, young people have not stood on the sidelines. We have co-created, co-led, and co-implemented, together with sponsors and partners like the UN Resident Coordinator's Office, GIZ, the Danish Embassy, the United Nations Association of Uganda, the Open Space Center, the United Nations Development Program, UNICEF, UNFPA, and the SDG Secretariat under the Office of the Prime Minister. We have built foundations for inclusive development. We developed indigenous approaches to mainstream youth voices in national development, youth-led data collection, SDG monitoring, and impactful initiatives such as the End Period Poverty Campaign, the SDG flash mob that mobilized over 10,000 youth to create SDG awareness, peace trainings in Kasese, mindset change trainings in Soroti, and youth consultations on climate change and biodiversity. Through the UN at 80 Awards, we recognized 24 exceptional young change makers, proving that when youth are trusted partners, real change happens. Now, responding to the new cooperation framework, the framework presented today builds on that foundation. It reflects many of the aspirations young people have consistently voiced for transformation that is inclusive, sustainable, and youth-driven. Our message is clear as young people. Let's move from inclusion to influence, from consultation to co-creation, from promises to partnership. On the three thematic areas of the cooperation framework, thematic area number 1 on transformative and inclusive human development, people and prosperity. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, transformation begins with trust. Transformation begins with trust. Uganda has the youngest population in the world, yet too many young people remain unemployed despite their education and skills. We appreciate you for sponsoring all the young people with these different skills, but we need skills that result into employability. Let this framework turn youth potential into productivity by investing directly in youth-led enterprises and innovations, equipping every school and community with skills for the future, digital literacy, creativity, and green entrepreneurship, expanding access to health and protection services for adolescents and young women, because prosperity begins with well-being. And if we want prosperity, we must fund potential, not frustration. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on sustainable ecosystems and climate-smart development, the floods, droughts, and food insecurity we face are no longer warnings. They are evidence and realities. Ugandan youth are already restoring wetlands, replanting forests, and leading recycling innovations, often with little or no funding. This framework must turn climate passion into climate investment, scaling up youth-led solutions, integrating climate education into national curricula, and building community resilience before disasters strike. Saving our planet is not charity, it is survival for everyone. On inclusive, accountable, and rights-based governance, peace and partnership. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, true peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of fairness and justice. We therefore urge that this framework institutionalizes youth representation in all major development mechanisms, protect freedom of expression and civic space, strengthen data systems that reflect youth contributions. When youth are engaged in planning, budgeting, and monitoring, governance becomes truly inclusive. Your Excellencies, colleagues, and friends, the framework presented today gives us direction. The responsibility now lies in how we translate words into results. Let this chapter mark a shift from talk to transformation, from projects to partnerships, and most importantly, from tokenism to trust. As young people, we stand steady to walk this journey with you, to build with you, to innovate with you, and to lead with you. The next 5 years should not repeat the last 5 years. And together, we can make the next 5 years the most impactful for Uganda and the future we all deserve. Thank you, and for God and my country.
Let's give a bigger round of applause to Amina Nasali. Your Excellency, Amina Nasali there. And as we get closer to the conclusion of our ceremony, the role of the NGO Forum, the non-governmental organizations that will be working hand in hand with government, but also ensuring that there is oversight of what is going on is very key. Also being the Center for Youth and Inclusion. Allow me now invite Dr. Moses Isoba, who is the Executive Director of the Uganda National NGO Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause and hear from Dr. Moses Isoba, who is the ED of the Uganda NGO Forum, on signaling social accountability, which is very key to seeing the realization of this cooperation framework.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Please allow me stand on the already established protocol. I am greatly honored to be here today to deliver these remarks on behalf of the civil society fraternity in this country under the umbrella of the Uganda National NGO Forum, as we launch the UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework 2026 to 2030. The Uganda National NGO Forum's mandate is to provide a platform for sharing and reflection for NGOs in Uganda to influence governance and development processes and improve their operating environment. We commend the UN fraternity for championing an inclusive and participatory process while developing this cooperation framework. We also commend the UN for aligning the framework to Uganda's NDP4 and the Sustainable Development Goal commitment that focus on leaving no one behind. Hence, representing Uganda's most urgent and collective commitment to accelerate progress of the SDGs in addressing poverty inequality, and climate change. It provides hope for coordinated action, accountability, and strengthened partnerships for inclusive, sustainable, and equitable development in Uganda. As we implement this development framework, I would like to draw your attention to 3 focus areas which are an integral part of this statement from the civil society. We welcome the 3 proposed strategic pillars and firmly believe that for them to be transformative, we must embed within them specific action-oriented mandates that center civil society engagement. 1, on the transformative and inclusive human development. As the civil society sector in this country, we acknowledge the efforts made by the government of Uganda and the development partners to promote transformative and inclusive development. This is hugely evident from the NDP4 and the SDGs. For instance, there's been a significant reduction in poverty levels. There's been a significant reduction in maternal and child mortality and overall improved education and health outcomes. Amidst mixed results, efforts like the Parish Development Model, the Youth and Women Enterprise Initiative, among others, promoted by the government, provide an opportunity to transform communities through community empowerment and social service delivery beyond financial transfers, while continuously improving the implementation approach. I would like to bring your attention that civil society organizations are fully engaged in this good initiative by monitoring and analyzing the implementation and providing alternative proposals which have been adopted by the government for improvement. With Uganda's demographics skewed towards the youth, as we know, and the dynamic population, characterized by persistent inequalities, achieving transformative development necessitates collaboration between the development partners, the government, the private sector, and with CSOs at the center, with citizens to provide oversight to achieve the intended objectives. This partnership is vital for ensuring that human development is transformative and inclusive, with tangible and equitable outcomes. On the sustainable ecosystems and the climate survey development, the quality of our environment underpins all the development aspects. Yet, climate change and its variability continue to pose a challenge in terms of realizing our country's development agenda. Uganda continues to face multiple disasters, such as the heavy floods, especially in the low-lying regions, affecting over 50,000 individuals and causing damages exceeding $62 million. Overall food production losses due to climate change are also expected to increase perhaps to 1.5 billion by 2050. Therefore, as civil society, we would like to urge the UN, in collaboration with the government of Uganda, to, 1, invest in climate financing to address climate change concerns that are affecting the country. Global climate funds such as the Green Climate Fund and the Adaptation Fund, they remain virtually inaccessible to local actors due to the complex bureaucracy and accreditation requirements. The UN needs to invest in climate financing, technical capacity, and accessibility. 2, the UN, of course, in collaboration with the government, will again need to support the integration of the indigenous and localized knowledge into climate-smart resilience strategies in agriculture, ensuring that solutions are culturally appropriate and sustainable. We'll need to strengthen disaster risk systems at the national and district levels, and this would include interior equipping community with the capacity and requisite equipment to enhance the early warning systems, particularly in the vulnerable areas like Karamoja, the Elgon region. To facilitate effective participation, the government needs to enhance the partnerships with CSOs and improve their capacity to access climate finance and foster resilience in the fragile areas. On the integrated, inclusive, and rights-based governance, at the heart of sustainable development lies peace, lies justice, and lies accountable governance. Despite efforts to improve integrated, inclusive, and rights-based governance in Uganda, a lot remains to be desired. The country continues to face challenges related to corruption. The country continues to face challenges related to shrinking civic space and human rights abuses. It's therefore important to note that citizen engagement and access to justice are affected due to limited civic education and inadequate paralegal services. You may wish to know that according to Human Rights Watch, Uganda's human rights environment remains restrictive of free expression and peaceful assembly and dissent. Therefore, as civil society, we call upon the UN to play a key role in supporting Uganda to devise mechanisms for protecting civic space and enduring accountable governance. We urge you, the UN, to utilize your immense convening power to advocate for an enabling environment for civil society organizations so as to operate and thrive. A healthy partnership requires candid, constructive dialogue, which requires an open civic space. We urge you, the UN, to use your good offices to facilitate a continuous, open, and honest engagement between the government and civil society on aspects of policy and legislation. We expect the UN to empower the government to uphold protection of civic space, which facilitates accountable governance. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me end with a call to action. I wanted to emphasize that civil society organizations in this country are more than beneficiaries. We are co-investors in this development cooperation framework. But for collaboration to be there, we would definitely need to be working together as partners. We are a visionary, we are capable and responsible partners. Therefore, to realize all this potential, it's important that the UN cooperation framework is dedicated, creating a dedicated and direct funding for at least 20% of the resources from this framework to directly go to civil society organizations and other stakeholders to be able to implement, monitor, and innovate at the local level. The inclusion of CSOs as co-chairs in the outcome results groups and the Joint Steering Committee should be looked into. In addition, emphasis on affordable, renewable energy and green enterprise development needs to be noted. Institutionalization of accountability mechanisms through quarterly dialogues and transparent financing reports to track commitments and resources. Needless to underscore here, promoting civic space and meaningful citizen participation in policy and development processes. Deepened partnerships among government, CSOs, the private sector, and development partners is grounded in mutual respect and trust. As the Dutch people say, trust comes on foot but lives on a horseback. We hope that we can actually be able to nurture the trust. Finally, we as civil society organizations are prepared to partner with the UN and the government of Uganda to bring this framework to fruition. The cooperation framework running from 2026 to 2030 is our final major programmatic window to hit the peak of the SDGs. And therefore, given the challenges from the climate shocks to the demographic pressures, it absolutely cannot be business as usual. We urge all the actors that this framework acts as a catalyst for systemic change by encouraging inclusive human development that empowers the youth, promoting planet-positive actions to safeguard ecosystems and support governance that builds public trust. Together, we can realize the vision of an inclusive, prosperous, and sustainable Uganda for everyone by 2030. Thank you for God and my country.
Thank you very much, Dr. Isowa. And of course, partnerships, partnerships, partnerships to be able to see the realization of this cooperation framework. And so probably midterm, when we come to assess how far we've gone, we can be able to say, because we worked together, we were able to achieve a lot. Now, as we get to conclude this, ladies and gentlemen, we're not just marking this signing of the cooperation agreement, but we are also celebrating the United Nations at 80. Of course, we've already eaten cake for that. But that just was not it, because leading up to this particular day, the United Nations sought for innovations by young people that were showcasing Uganda's potential to drive sustainable development goals. And out of the various regions, because it was across the country, out of the various regions, a number of young people showcased innovation, because we were talking about innovativeness here earlier. And we were able to see that the awards, which we are referring to as the UN at 80 Awards, Youth Awards, did identify 24 exceptional young champions and organizations from across the country, and these did express Uganda's potential to drive the Sustainable Development Goals. They were awarded, or they were evaluated through a very rigorous 20-point scoring matrix, and also these awardees that I'm going to be reading to you right about now embody innovation, they embody impact, as well as leadership, aligned with the SDGs that we are talking about today. And I'm going to read out from the different regions across. I hope that the young people are ready to receive their awards that will be presented by the RC himself. I will start off from the northern Uganda, in no particular order. I should have started from the east because that's where the sun rises from. But I'll start from the north. Never mind. We have Alemiga Francis. Alemiga Francis, wherever you are, from YesTech International. I hope they've not stepped out. Alemiga Francis, wherever you are, I am kindly requesting that you stand up and come through, as well as Alessi Margarine from Zuta Initiative for Development. All right, Alessi is here. Let's give her a round of applause. Now, Zuta is equipping young people and survivors of sexual and gender-based violence with skills as well as opportunities to generate sustainable income and also build economic independence. And this is one of the reasons why Zuta is emerging as a winner. Zuta Initiative, a round of applause from northern Uganda. And also we have Alemiga Francis. Okay. Then I'll use my handheld mic. Check. Okay. All right, that is Alessi Margarine from Zuta Initiative for Development. And like I said, they equip young people and survivors of sexual and gender-based violence with skills and opportunities to generate sustainable income. I also have a representative of Alemiga Francis here with me. Alemiga Francis is from the YesTech International. And this is development focused on youth organizations that is committed to empowering communities through sustainable solutions, looking at briquette production, enhancing food security through modern farming. That is the representative of Alemiga Francis. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what the youth are doing. They are not just waiting on government. And now from Western Uganda, allow me invite Mukwano Titus. Mukwano Titus, wherever you are, big round of applause to Titus Mukwano. I am also going to invite Nima Heritia. Nima Heritia is a young refugee heading the Refugee Achiever Foundation. Is Nima here with us, or we have a representative? I will also invite Nwamanya Anxious. That is how I'm ready for. Okay. But I want them to all come at once, then we give out, yes. So that is Mukwano Titus right there from New Life Foundation for Community Rural Development. And their mission is to empower vulnerable youth and communities through education and sustainable agriculture. And right there, I have a representative of Nima Heritia. Oh, that's Nima Heritia from Refugee Achiever Foundation. The Refugee Achiever Foundation empowers refugees and host communities. That's the young and women, youth and women, through socio-economic practices to ensure safe and affordable life. Refugee Achiever Foundation there. I will also invite Zawadi Patricia, because Zawadi Patricia is also a winner from the Western Uganda. Zawadi, draw very closer, because I would like to have you at a later stage as well coming through, just to save time. Now, Niwamanya Anxious, I hope that is the pronunciation of the name. Okay, I love the names that come from Western Uganda. I will tell you the other types of names that come from there. But Anxious is from Shine Leadership International, and this is committed to equipping young people with the skills, values, and opportunities to become transformative leaders, entrepreneurs, and innovators. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Shine Leadership International, and that is Nwamanya Anxious. I thought I was reading the name wrong. Zawadi Patricia here is from Let's Help International. Let's Help International empowers marginalized communities with education, digital access, advocacy, as well as mental health support, fostering integration and sustainable impact. Congratulations to Let's Help International. That was it from Western. I will now invite from the Eastern region, Amuto Sylvia from Dream Foundation. Let's give them a round of applause. Amuto Sylvia. Wafula Shoki from Mentoring Peace Champions Uganda. Wafula Shoki, wherever you are, I am going to invite you here. Chirunda Nuhman. Yes, Wafula Shoki, Chirunda Nuhman. And Justine Nyiranziza from Rebuild Scholars. That is Amuto Sylvia from Dream Foundation. This is about mentorship and helping young people discover their dreams, self-identity, and also outgrow self-doubt and stigma. Wafula Shoki should be able to come through. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. Wafula Shoki is from Mentoring Peace Champions Uganda. Mentoring Peace Champions Uganda, which aims to raise a generation of young, empowered leaders committed to positive change. Congratulations, Wafula Shoki, amongst the many in Eastern region who are doing wonders and causing change. Chirunda Nuhman from Uganda Eco Warriors Initiative. Great one there. Theirs is the champions of the My Period, My Tree. It's an initiative that connects menstrual health to environmental stewardship by empowering girls to plant and nurture fruit trees upon receiving their periods. What an interesting one that is. A pleasure having you, Chirunda. And last but in no means the least is Justine Nyiranziza from Rebuild Scholars. Rebuild Scholars advance gender equality and inclusion with a focus on empowering rural youth, especially girls, with access to education and also to develop competencies. I'll now move on to the Central region. I will also move to the Central region where we have Tumusime Robert of Biodiversity Hub Lab and Fund. Tumusime Robert, Biodiversity Hub Lab and Fund. Asimwe Moraine, Ensinunji, the world is beautiful. Okay, Asimwe Moraine. Jenkins Twinomjisha, SMS 1. Samantha Kungu, UN Association of Uganda, Chambogo Chapter. Naiga Precious, Incredible Youth International. And Mutiaba Gerald from Chiganda Coffee. All of you, please, I request that you come forward so we can be able to conclude. That is Tumsime Robert from Biodiversity Hub Lab. Next, I will have Asimwe Moraine from Ensinunji, which recycles plastic, glass, and polythene, as well as organic and e-waste to create recycled products such as pavers and building blocks. Congratulations. Next is Jenkins Twinomjisha from SMS1, whose mission is to empower institutions and communities with ICT solutions that drive accountability, efficiency, and sustainable development. Samantha Kungu, congratulations from the UN Association of Uganda, Chambogo Chapter. It promotes and aims, it aims and the ideals of the United Nations are promoted. Accelerating SDGs is part of their agenda. Naiga Precious will go next from Incredible Youth International, which unveils the deepest potentials of youth with a mission of empowering young individuals and communities to be effective agents of change. I'm also going to request all the awardees to stand up because we are going to have a group picture. Last but not least is Mutiaba Gerald from Kiganda Coffee. Sustainable coffee farming and value addition. And with that, I'm going to request all our awardees to come back. Let's all come back and step forward and have a group picture with the resident coordinator. All of the awardees, please come back with your certificates. Please come back with your certificates as well as the representatives so we can have a group picture here. And then we are going to have a poem about United Nations at 80. All the awardees, please make your way. And of course, together with them is the awarding committee that have joined them in taking that picture there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and now to officially crown it all. First of all, I will request the technical team to be able to display the barcode. With that code, if you scan the QR code in case you need your pictures, I know some of you have been struggling to find very great pictures, please scan that. You'll be able to get the event photos and videos and everything else. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm just giving you 30 seconds before I invite Emmanuel Obore to present to us a beautiful poem. So I'm giving you just a second to scan the QR code in case I'm standing right next to it or in front of it. Scan this QR code and you will be able to, from Royal Media has given us the opportunity to access all pictures as well as the videos. All right, we will continue with that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to celebrate the 80-year UN commemoration, we have a beautiful presentation of a poem led by Emmanuel Obore from Thenwell Debate and Literally Phronesis, who will be leading this poem, but of course with a team of young people. Let's give them a round of applause as they come through for this one.
Check. World War I came, many were slain. Lust for power and influence, strife and vengeance, conspiracy and greed could not hope but World War II again. Economies and properties ravaged, hundreds of millions slain. Oh, from 1939 to 1945, blood was rain, humanity was in vain, and hope was on the wane. As the duel between the Axis powers and the Allies retained, I, Emmanuel Obori, while in my mother's womb, I marveled at the hard-headedness of Hitler and the stubbornness of Sir Winston Churchill. Even as far as the 1930s, I could see without eyes yet these evil zeals, the genocides by the Nazi, the Nanjing massacres, and the Hiroshima and Nagasaki American bomb kills. Indeed, I saw our own human race torn betwixt vice and ill as human blood spilled through the weaponry of iron and steel. And now, UN and you for peace. Happy 80th anniversary.
It was now 1940s. The humanitarian wave was too strong. The hard-headed Hitler and Stalin were thrown. Slavery was torn. Colonizers were gone, and national independences had dawned. Franklin Roosevelt, with his State of Nations address, was eager. Freedoms were inching inner. The League of Nations was quicker, and so there were preparations and preparations and preparations of everything for this great awaited manifestation. Hey, UN and you for peace. Happy 80th anniversary.
The peace wave was even much stronger this time. Even I, Mariam Nanseroko, and the dead African insects could confirm. So everything living and dead was preparing and waiting. Waiting and preparing, preparing and waiting. Good, gooder, goodest. Also wrongly came grammar. With the coming of the Versailles Treaty and the Atlantic Charter, and then came the conferences of Dunbarton, Oaks, San Francisco with the UN Charter, with over 50 states signing for peace against war.
And at last, the war flag fell, and rapidly, like ding dong goes the bell. Hallelujah! 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 Shouted everything in the opera house, including I, Nagudi Angel, at San Francisco, USA. So hard. United Nations, UN was formed. International, global, humanitarian, formed. For development, cooperation, conflict resolution, formed. For peace, for peace, for peace, formed. This was exactly 24th October, 1945. UN and you for peace and development. Happy 80th anniversary.
But a loud cry was heard from Malera in Bukedia, from New York General Assembly Center. Oh, this loudness, even the deaf could hear. Loudly it went. The UN Cooperation Framework is here. Our President, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, is here. Social justice, social protection is here. employment opportunities are here, for the UN conference cooperation framework is here.
All our renewable energy, water, agriculture, and infrastructure for the UN cooperation framework is here. Human rights, justice, rule of law for the UN cooperation framework is here. Capacity building, refuge support, humanitarian assistance for the UN cooperation framework is here. Oh, SDGs, the then MDGs, now the pact for the future for the UN cooperation framework is here.
All the United Nations of Uganda, in organizations, funds, programs, and commissions for the UN cooperation framework is here. His Excellency Antonio Guterres is in action for the UN cooperation framework 2026-2030 is here. Peace, peace, peace. For the UN cooperation framework is here. Oh, until we're fulfilled and fulfilled.
We ordinary citizens, we journalists, we lawyers, us poets, community leaders, diplomats, civil society, artists, philanthropists, all of us humanity, in whom all the human rights gospel consists. Boom! A day was given to us.
A day was given to us, we were recognized.
Given to us, we were acknowledged, we were empowered.
Oh, today it is given to us, it was given to us, it is given to us.
This is exactly 22nd October 2025.
UN and you at 80, happy 80th anniversary.
UN and you.
For peace and peace and peace and peace.
Happy 80th anniversary. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I think Emmanuel and the team deserve a bigger round of applause for that. Thank you very much for putting up such a beautiful piece. It's not just poetry, but it is speaking to the reality of the expectations of what this cooperation agreement holds, and also the journey of the 80 years. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the beginning of the end, I could say, and that it is time for us to put into action all the promises, all the commitments that we have put forward today to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, because we do not want to leave anyone behind. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That brings us to the end of this momentous event and the start of the real action as it does go through. We had the anthems earlier. We can still be able to take some pictures, but join us for lunch, please. I will request that we'll start with our heads of agencies and the representatives taking lunch, and everyone else can be able to join us for lunch still. We will use the exits on your left at the tent. And for the Royal Way Media team, if you could just give us that QR code again, in case you need to get the pictures, you need to be able to get some videos of the event, you will also be able to find them here. And this event has also been online, it's been live. I want to say thank you so much for coming, and thank you to the United Nations for the cooperation you are having or launching today with the government of Uganda for peace, for peace, for peace. I would pick up from the poem that we just had. Good afternoon, and God bless you.